these election reform bills that have been introduced, I know they're going to be controversial. There's 8 of them that Alberta Darling put forth, but 3 of them specifically deal with potentially discounting votes. An absentee ballot that doesn't have a valid witness signature would automatically be discounted if there was a vote that was cast that did not have an adjoining poll list signature with it. That would be discounted in a recount. A lot of people are going to, again, accuse the Republican Party of trying to suppress the vote. And what argument can you make to say that's not suppressing the vote to some degree?
Well, it's really not about suppressing the vote. It's about guaranteeing that every single person who's legitimately able to vote has their vote counted. The worst thing to have happen is for votes that were cast fraudulently to be able to actually go through the process. Now, sometimes it's simply poll worker error, and those are the situations we want to make sure we take care of by having better training and ensuring that we have a process that everyone can follow. That's why having a thing as simple as a photo ID is still broadly supported by the vast majority of Wisconsinites as a simple way to make sure that people are able to make sure that their vote is counted and it's counted once.
Some of that stuff makes sense, but you know, when you talk about somebody forgetting to have a witness sign their absentee ballot and then it's automatically discounted, why not leave that to the circuit clerk or the town clerks who would say, look, I know this person, I'm sure this isn't a fraudulent ballot. It looks like some of the language in that legislation would suggest that is just not going to be a counted vote.
Well, I guess from my perspective, I want to have the same standard whether you live in Stoughton or Superior, and that's why we want to have rules that apply to everyone equally across the board. We've seen circumstances in the past where questions have been raised and there's really no way to know what's the accurate way of moving forward, which is why it's easiest for us to say it's one standard for everybody. If somebody's in a nursing home, having a witness guarantee that the person is actually casting the ballot themselves and it's not somebody in the nursing home just filling it out for them and never getting witnessed, those are the kind of things that we want to guarantee. It never happens in Wisconsin. It doesn't happen very often today, but we certainly want to guarantee every person's vote counts.
I guess the one thing that always gets brought up, and it's something that I've noticed too, is that every example that's given of something like that happening seems to be anecdotal. I mean, is there any strong data that suggests this is happening even on a small scale?
Well, I believe it is, and once again, a lot of what happens in the world is anecdotal. Crime prosecutors have a whole lot of things to go after. We have a drug epidemic taking over Wisconsin, especially among young people. In Milwaukee, we have a crime epidemic that shows murders are on the rise, and it's definitely not somewhere people feel safe. So I don't fault
But again, those are things we can actually point to and
but that's
say
why
that
I don't
those
fault
are
prosecutors.
statistically viable.
Right, but that's why when they look at prosecutors, they have a lot of priorities, so they're not going to go out looking for examples of voter fraud because they got to prosecute people who commit crimes as far as murder, rape, all those kind of things. But that's why we still know that they're factually accurate to know that those things do happen. And taking small steps to guarantee that there's the smallest chance possible, I think that's just what responsible government does.
What about the argument Robin Voss makes, which is that prosecutors don't have the time to go after a crime like that?
You know, we have seen prosecutors go after crimes like that. We've certainly seen Attorney General Van Hollen create a task force in order to go after those crimes. So I think that's a false argument. And I would say all of us want fair elections. All of us want to eliminate fraud. All of us want ballots counted fairly. This is a solution in search of a problem. We don't have a large problem with fraud. And certainly the measures that we're looking at here, if we did have a problem with fraud, don't address it. If we did have a problem with fraud, it wouldn't be because a witness's address was left off the back of an absentee ballot envelope.